is a trail of excellence blazed by the legendary Mary Lou Retton. And who should guide her on the way but the man who coached Mary Lou and Nadia Comaneci to Olympic gold, Bela Karolyi. For the men. Good afternoon, everyone. We are here live for the 1986 McDonald's American Cup Gymnastics competition, and already it has been a wild and woolly competition as the men have completed 4 rotations. And we have a look at the standings. The surprise here is 19-year-old Brian Ginsberg is in the lead. And there he is, Ginsberg, just ahead of the Soviets, Alexei Tikhonki, and Wang and Ulf Hoffman from East Germany. Now, 8 gymnasts, men and women, are here competing for the championships. The big story here right now, as we bring in Bart Connor, Olympic gold medalist, Bart, is that Tim Daggett, the defending champion, had to withdraw because he injured himself on the floor exercise.
And I was really sorry to see that. You know, Tim is an outstanding gymnast, and he got off to a rough start in floor exercise, which was going to be his toughest event. Right at the beginning, he did the layout double back at the beginning of the exercise, and I know he really munched his ankles when he landed. So he stung him to the point where as he got to vaulting later in the competition, he could not go, he couldn't even run, let alone go ahead and vault.
Now the question is, if he had gotten past the vault, do you think he could have continued on the parallel bars and the high bar?
Well, I think so, knowing that it's just a dismount and it's going to sting when you land, but knowing that all the exercises on the piece of apparatus, it would have been a little bit easier.
Now, we hopefully will get a chance to see the floor exercise that did him in just a few moments here. But how much pressure is there out there on your legs when you're doing those exercises on the floor?
Well, as we mentioned earlier, the level of difficulty is so outrageous, and the skills that they're asking these gymnasts to do. Here, of course, is Tim in his third tumbling run, front to a front. Notice he just has no punch whatsoever. Now, he lost his ankle on a layout double back at the beginning of that exercise, and he really has very little support in the ligaments, and so he was in a lot of pain.
All right, so Tim Daggett is out of the competition, and hopefully we'll be seeing him around. He, of course, is still training for 1988. The women's standings, and here she is, Christy Phillips, 13 years old, in first place after 1 rotation. This was her vault in the first rotation, and you're going to get a chance to see the reaction of her coach, Bela Karolyi, who also coached Mary Lou Retton and Nadia Comaneci. This is her vault earlier today. This is her coach talking to her.
Next to the squeeze that no move whatsoever. Okay? That's it. Okay?
Second vault.
Here it is, her vault from earlier today.
Incredible. That's a round-off onto the board, a back handspring onto the horse, and a laid-out, a tuck twisting, full twisting backflip off the horse. Very difficult vault, but she handled it perfectly.
A 9.85 for Christy Phillips. And that was the best vault of the day, which put her in first place after 1 rotation. Now, after the second rotation for the women, it was Baraksanova who was able to outlast Christy Phillips on the uneven parallel bar. So it's going to be a great fight between the Soviet and the American Christy Phillips. Oddly enough, as we mentioned, Christy trained by the same coach as Nadia Comaneci and Mary Lou Retton, and she has a lot of the same attributes.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? Look at that smile. She is such a personality. Now, she's a very good gymnast. She has good technique. She doesn't have the quite explosive skills that Mary Lou did. She's very sharp.
Okay, this is live now. Let's listen in. Here's Bella.
Nicely up. Make sure, you know, those 2 things have shown. Finishing on the side plate. And extremely hard at the end. Not somehow taken too early. To lose sense over there at the end.
Now here's Irina Baraksanova, who is our leader, going into the balance beam competition. Here is her balance beam competition, 16 years old.
Baraksanova had a very disastrous day yesterday, as a matter of fact. She fell off the bars, and she fell off the beam once and grabbed the beam another time. Had a terrible day. But she's come to this competition today, and she seems pretty intent. I mean, just like, don't mess around with me. I might have one bad day, but not two in a row.
Here she was yesterday in what turned out to be a disastrous performance. The marks from yesterday do not count today.
There's a back handspring to a layout, chest roll down, and look at, she's completely off the beam.
So here she is back live again. Baraksanova, 4'7", 77 pounds, and she is our leader.
There's a back handspring on, a little bit wobbly. You have to know that she's got in the back of her mind, here it comes, the skill she missed on yesterday. Back handspring. Ooh, pretty rough. She was able to stay on, which will be less of a deduction than if she completely fell off, but that has to be a few tenths for being that much out of line. Another wobble on an aerial walkover. She doesn't seem as aggressive here as she has been in the past. She's a great performer, though. Notice the tremendous extension. Look at the beautiful split leap. Very elegant performer. Two back handsprings to a layout. That's one of the more difficult tumbling passes you can do.
That beam is 4 feet high and only 4 inches wide.
It's a beautiful split handstand. Now watch this. A reverse plunge. Look at the tremendous back flexibility.
It's said that Baraksanova has the elegance of Ludmila Teresheva and the bouncing style of Olga Korbut. Ludmila Teresheva, of course, 1972 Olympic gold medalist. And she has that classic Soviet look, doesn't she?
Without a doubt, she's very elegant for being so young. Round off, double back. Okay, one little step. She's got quite a few bobbles in that exercise. It won't score that high, so it's going to open the door for Christy Phillips.
So trying to stay in first place is Irina Baraksanova, who was in first place going into this rotation. Just ahead of Christy Phillips, and here's the replay.
Here's her dismount. Round off onto the end. Good reach. A little cowboy, but a very high landing. Good double backflip.
This young lady achieved prominence in the 1985 World Championships in Montreal when, you may remember, she was pulled out of the competition. They said that she had an injury, the Soviets said, and that allowed the third and fourth place Soviets to go on to the finals and eventually win. There was a lot of controversy surrounding that.
Well, a lot of people weren't quite sure that she really had an injury, but she mentioned to us that she really did have a problem with her shoulder, and it would have been really tough to have been pulled out of the competition when you were fourth in the running.
She's never been to the United States. When we spoke to her 2 days ago, we spent about an hour with her, and I think we caught about 2 sentences. She's painfully shy. So again, Baraksanova waiting for her score on the balance beam, which will come from 6 judges. High and low will be thrown out, and the average will be coming up here, and that's a 9.40.
Now we move to parallel bars. And our 20
and her total, 28.863. So since she was the first in this rotation, she is still our leader. Still to come will be Christy Phillips from the United States. We're alternating men and women here with 2 rotations left. And this is Ulf Hoffmann from East Germany.
He's had a very good competition so far on the first 4 pieces of apparatus. But these, I think, are 2 of his best. The parallel bars and the high bar, the 2 we're about to see. An uprise. The move called a Healy twirl to a front 1 1/4. Very nice combination of originality. Another Healy twirl. Gymnastics has its own language, as you can tell. Stutz. Double back.
Whoops.
Okay, 1 step on the landing, but a pretty good exercise. That'll keep him in the running.
Well, he was 5th coming into this rotation, so he'll have to move up. He's going to get close to first place. Again, Brian Ginsberg, who you'll see later on this same apparatus, is our leader going into this rotation. We're waiting for the score. Let's look at the replay.
There's the Stutz before the end of the exercise. You can't wobble too much up there. A nice double back. A little bit low, but not bad.
Again, it gives you a chance to show
Wolf
your
Hoffman,
support for these athletes.
born in Neustrelitz, halfway between Berlin and the Baltic Sea. On the other side of the floor is Christy Phillips, the youngest American ever to compete in this championship. She'll be up on the beam, the apparatus we just saw Roxanova compete on. She is excellent on this piece of apparatus, and she has a chance to take the lead. So she'll wait, as Hoffman will wait, for his score, a 9.70. So he'll be our men's leader at this point, since he was the first to compete in the rotation. Now, Christy Phillips.
Christy is great on the beam. She has a very difficult exercise. Look at this. Look at the back flexibility on that front limber going sideways on the beam. Whoops. A little bit of a bobble on a full turn there. It was a full and a quarter, but she's a good performer. She knows how to make the best of the situation. There's a round-off layout. Okay. She has to know that a good performance here could put her into the lead, because the Soviet did open the door.
When we spoke with her coach, Bella Carolla, yesterday, he said that at this age, she's even better than Mary Lou was. I remember Bella has coached both Mary Lou and Nadia Comaneci to Olympic golds. Christy Phillips actually moved to Houston from Baton Rouge, and she's living there with her mom while her dad lives back at home. Now watch this.
Just like Baraksanova, there's a reverse flange. Now Christy does what they call the Phillips, a straddled reverse flange. Everybody's looking for those originality points these days. She's in good shape so far. Okay. Nice side somersault. Look at her face. She knows if she can just get through this dismount, this could put her in the lead. Double twist. And she nails the landing. That could be it.
A little shaky, but it's done. All right.
Bella Carolla calls her his little bug. And there's her mother, Terry Phillips, who has come here from Houston. I'm sure she's been adding up the scores herself.
Okay.
Okay, here is the back flexibility on this reverse flange. Now, once she hits that position, she's going to straddle her legs and pike a little bit and do her own original version of that skill. Look at that right angle bend in the back. Unbelievable flexibility.
She needs a 9.6 to take the lead away from the Soviet. So now the anxious moments of waiting. Only gets home twice a year to Baton Rouge while she's training in Houston. Looking at the Soviet Braxanova during practice on Friday, she told me, she looks so perfect, I don't know how I'd ever be able to beat her. 9.675 is the score as we have it, which now gives Christy Phillips the lead once again.
We now move to parallel.
So now Christy Phillips, our leader, with that familiar hug from Bella Carolla, who we've seen many times in that same position with Mary Lou Retton. Here is Brian Ginsberg, our men's leader, coming into this rotation.
We've talked about how unfortunate it is that Tim Daggett had to drop out of the competition, but if he had to leave way for an American, this is the guy. Brian is a great exercise here. Interesting skill right at the beginning. Nice peach hand and a front giant, which you don't see very many of those. He'll get originality points for that. Ooh, yeah, a little bit over on his back giant. That'll cost him a couple of tens.
Ginsberg needs a 9.2 to jump into the lead. But still to come after him will be the Soviet. There's a great strength move.
Fantastic. A straddle plunge press to a handstand. Double back. Okay. He sure knows how to flip those double backs, and I'm sure he's glad to get through with that exercise.
Tim Daggett had to withdraw from the competition because of an injury he sustained on the floor exercise, and now Brian Ginsberg has jumped right back in there into the lead ahead of some of the best in the world, including the Soviets. and the Chinese.
Here is the plan. Notice the tremendous leverage strength as he presses back up to the handstand.
Physiology major at UCLA.
He's 5'2", only 105 pounds, and no muscle, no body fat on this guy whatsoever, let me tell you.
Says he originally got into gymnastics because he was hyper as a kid. He told us he used to climb out of his crib and was always doing headstands in the back of the family car. Sounds like something you might do, Bart.
I tell you, I think a lot of us got into gymnastics because our parents found that we were breaking too many pieces of furniture around the house. I did cartwheels and flips off of everything we had.
I think a lot of Ginsburg's excitement and maybe even ability here has come from this packed house full of Americans, 8,500 here in Fairfax, Virginia.
Cameras, please. The athletes requested that you not use flash. Brian
Still waiting for the score.
9.65.
A 9.65. So he is our new leader. He retains the lead, rather, in this rotation. So both American men and women lead here at the American Cup Gymnastics. We'll be back with more Gymnastics Live in just a moment. Cup Gymnastics from the Patriot Center in Fairfax, Virginia. I'm John Tesh along with Bart Connor. And we want to show you our women's leader, Christy Phillips, who got a 9.45 to keep her in the first position. And we have a replay for you now of her performance on the beam, Bart.
Here's the back straddle down, right in line, as opposed to her Soviet competitor, Baraksanova, who was out of line and lost a couple of tenths of a point.
I mentioned she got a 9.45. It was a 9.675 on this apparatus.
Here's this tremendous flexibility again in the reverse planche. And then a trick I'm sure we'll soon be calling the Phillips. A straddle reverse planche. He presses back around. Good work here on the side somersault. A little wobbly there, but that is a very difficult move. One of the toughest ones to do.
Well, it gave her a good score of 9.675. And right now, Christy Phillips, as we complete her dismount there, is with our Peter Corman. Peter. Peter Corman, do you hear me?
Thank you, John. Christy, great job. You have amazed everybody in this auditorium. A tremendous, tremendous job on 3 events. What was going through your mind as you were doing that balancing routine?
I was just nervous because I knew if I didn't make it that my chances for first were gone with. And so I was just saying, you got just stay calm, you can do it, and just do it as good as you can so I can win first, maybe. I hope so.
And how about floor exercise to come now? You got an audience that's behind you. Everybody's enjoyed watching you. Are you going to have a good time out there?
Yes, I sure am. Being that floor is one of my better events, I hope I can pull it through.
Great. Well, I know you're going to please us all. Keep going. Keep up the good work and try to win another American Cup for us. Thanks a lot. Back to you, John.
Thank you very much, Peter Corman. We'll be back with more live gymnastics from the George Mason University Patriot Center after the 86 American Cup Gymnastics competition. Let's get you up to date now. In the men's competition, Tim Daggett had to drop out because of his injury on the floor exercise. The men, through 4 rotations, the standings look like this. Brian Ginsburg in first place. Close behind him was the Soviet Alexei Tikhonki. Now, Tikhonki is getting ready to perform on the parallel bars, and he is quite good on those.
Oh, without a doubt, he is one of the better performers I've ever seen on parallel bars. Very aggressive performer, and that counts for a lot of points.
In third place is Wang Shongshang, and he is close behind. Now, these are 4 rotations of 6. The men compete on 6 pieces of apparatus. The women will compete on 4. All of the scores are added together, and that will give us our champion for the men and the women. Ginsburg, again, the American in the lead. Right now, let's go down to Peter Corman, who is with our men's leader, American Brian Ginsburg.
Thank you, John. Brian Ginsburg, you have amazed everybody. We've never seen you in a competition like the American Cup, and suddenly you're in first place. How does it feel?
Feels great. I've never been in this big of an international competition, and I came in here with the attitude just hitting my stats and whatever happens is great. And now I found I'm in first place, and this is, I mean, the best thing that's ever happened to me so far.
Do you think you can keep the lead now? You have high bar to go, one more big event. What's it going to take out there?
I'm just going to do what I did yesterday and try to hit my set, and, you know, whatever happens, you know, it'll be great.
Great job. Back to you, John.
Okay, Peter, thank you very much. Now, next to come will be Alexei Tikhonki from the Soviet Union, as I mentioned. He has his work cut out for him because he would have to have a perfect score of 10.0 to move into the lead ahead of Ginsburg.
And, of course, we've talked about the new judging rules and the restrictions in the scores. It's very, very difficult, and you very rarely see a perfect 10 anymore. The judges are getting very tight with those scores, but this guy's going to push that, Mark. I'll tell you, he has a great exercise. One of the longest routines I've ever seen.
I'll tell you, it's one of the most dangerous ones I've ever seen as well.
Front toss out of a cast support. Notice how sharp he is. Beautiful giant swing right to the top. Fantastic. Diamondov. Notice everything is very aggressive and very sure of himself. Back toss. Back toss. 2 in a row. Here's a dismount, a pike double back, and he nailed it. That was an outrageous exercise.
Well, I'm sure he knew he had to score a perfect 10. He came up with that type of performance. They don't give many of them these days, and there hasn't been one. Alexander.
The second half of this rotation.
Born in 1961 in Lenins-Kuznetsk, a Siberian town of 500,000 people.
Here's the back toss, and another one right in a row, and a pike double back. Talking about nailing a landing. That's what you have to do for the big score.
So now again, 4 judges for the men. The high and the low will be thrown out, and that'll give us our average, which will let us know in which position Alexei Tikhonki from the Soviet Union will stand.
He was a very strong member of their World Championship team this past November in Montreal. They won and nearly killed all the other teams, as a matter of fact. The Soviets are so strong.
Tikhonki's name in Russian actually means the quiet one, which we found out after we interviewed the Soviet girl, Baraksanova, and Alexei, because we got about 3 or 4 words out of him. The mark that we have right now is a 9.9 for Tikhonki. 9.9, 1/10 away from perfection. So he does not pass Ginsburg, but that's the highest score we've seen today here.
And the crowd loves it. They're really supporting him because he is a great performer.
But still, Brian Ginsburg leads here at the American Cup Gymnastics competition. It is a real dogfight. We'll be back. Way through the 5th rotation. Here's a look at the standings. Brian Ginsburg, Alexei Tikhonki, Ulf Hoffman. And Ginsburg was not the favorite coming into this meet, Bart Conner. It was Tim Daggett. There he is, Brian Ginsburg, 19 years old, in his first international competition.
Isn't that incredible? But I tell you, that has happened so many times at this American Cup, is that young, hungry competitor gets a big chance at a meet like this, and they go for it.
Here's Sabrina Marr, our other American, 15 years old, a 9th grader from Los Angeles. She was 8th entering this rotation. She's had a tough day.
Well, she did very well on vaulting, and then she completely fell off the bars, which dropped her right down in this tough field. She had a great mount, though. Back handspring on. Oh!
Now, she's allowed to get back on the beam.
Right, now that's going to cost her 0.5 of a point. And she's allowed to go back up onto the beam and continue her exercise. That was disappointing because that's not that tough of a skill to stick. The tougher one's coming up now. Right here should be a back handspring to a layout. If she did like she performed in the warm-up, she'll be okay. Okay, she nailed that. Now that was the tougher skill. I think she let up a little bit on the easier one, the tuck backflip.
Sabrina hurt her back after the 1985 World Championships, and incidentally, she was treated by the same Chinese doctor as Tiffany Chin, American figure skater who you'll see skating in the World Championships here on CBS.
Very nice swing through layout. Okay, she's going to prepare for the dismount. Taking her time because it's a big dismount. Double back. Okay, a couple of steps on the landing, but it's a good dismount.
The way the score is run at this moment, even if she gets a perfect 10, she cannot take the lead. But she needs a good score to jump back into it. Here's a replay now of that problem she had.
Okay, it's just a tuck back, and it looks like she's just a little bit off and can't seem to control it. Now, Sabrina's a great gymnast. She's our national champion. I'm sorry she let down there a little bit because she got through the tough skills in the exercise and lost it on one of the easier ones.
So Sabrina Marr waiting for her score. A reminder, Christy Phillips, the other American, is still in first place, just ahead of the Soviet and the rest of the Eastern Europeans. Actually, Sabrina's parents are both from Canton in the south of China. They both emigrated to the United States during the communist takeover, which was in 1949. Her dad runs a wholesale grocery business in Monterey Park, California, and she is an honor student. Her score coming up now, 8.925. So another disappointment. But in the women's standings, it's still Christy Phillips in the lead. It's Phillips, Stoyanova, Boraksanova, and Ladany. The last rotation. She's getting ready for her performance on the balance beam. 16 years old, only been competing in gymnastics for 5 years.
Look at the beautiful extension on the straddle L press. Very nice mount. Very clean. Very pretty. Nice high tuck back flip. She comes, of course, from a long line of outstanding Romanian beam workers. Nadia Comaneci and Ekaterina Sabo being two of the best, of course. They work the beam as if they're tumbling on a plank of wood or a piece of concrete as wide as a sidewalk. They don't seem to be intimidated by the narrowness of the beam whatsoever.
This again is the second to last rotation for both the men and the women. The women are on the beam now. Later they'll be on the floor exercise.
Look at that.
The men are on the parallel bars, and later will be on the high bar, which of course is the most exciting and dangerous apparatus in gymnastics.
Look at the beautiful line of extension. She, of course, just completed a beautiful layout. She's taking a little bit of a pause here. She gets ready for the dismount. Back handspring, tuck to back. A little over rotation, but that is a tough dismount to do. 2 back handsprings into a double back.
The 16-year-old born in Bucharest, who yesterday just had an awful vault. She almost really hurt herself very seriously. She landed almost right on her face.
Now she's performing those new vaults that the gymnasts are doing, the back handspring onto the horse, and they're getting pretty dangerous. A lot like this dismount here. Back handspring, 2-foot takeoff to a tuck double back. She is up in the air on that dismount, let me tell you.
The 1984 junior Romanian champion. Even a score of 10 would not give her the lead. Our leader again is Christy Phillips. And Bella Caroli, who defected here to the United States, who had earlier coached Nadia Comaneci, and then, of course, Mary Lou Retton. We asked one of the coaches, there's Bella there, we asked one of the Romanian coaches about Bella, and she said only that they have not suffered since the defection of Bella Caroli. What do you expect them to say? Caroli has actually been offered jobs with the Korean and the Australian gymnastics team. He did a great job with the Romanians and is now doing a fine job with the Americans as well. Again, Mariana Tudor from Romania waiting for the score.
One wonderful thing about Bella and his tradition in coaching the Romanians, of course, and now the Americans, is that everyone thought, let's listen to Bella. Let's find out if he has any magical secrets. He doesn't have any magical secrets. He says, hey, we just work harder than anybody else.
There she is, Christy Phillips, our women's leader. Again, the heir apparent to Mary Lou Retton's crown. Mary Lou would have been the defending champion if she had been here today. She is not here today. We'll tell you more about that a little later on. We have an interview with her and more information. Look at that. Mariana Tudor, 9.625. With congratulations from Christy Phillips. Up now on the parallel bars, this is Laurent Barbieri, 25 years old, from France.
There's a nice Healy twirl to a straddle cut. Now look at the strength here in a straight arm, straight body press to handstand. He's had a great day so far. A little sloppy there on the Stutz. And the Peach This is not his best exercise, but the 4 apparatus that he competed on before this, look at the flange press.
It's amazing.
Very well.
It's amazing to see how this event has evolved, even with a routine called the Connor that we've seen in the past.
That's right. Nice double back for a dismount. That wasn't the most difficult exercise, and it didn't have any originality in it. We've talked a lot about the importance of originality in a parallel bar exercise.
Not in a position to lead at this point, Laurent Barbieri, 25 years old, lives at the French Olympic Gymnastics Center near Toulouse in southwest France.
Here he straddles back to a plunge, and then closes his legs as he presses to a handstand. Swings down for the tuck double back. A little hop on the landing, but good job.
Actually, his strongest events are the vault and the floor exercise. And he's not a great all-around gymnast. Or the French really haven't been great all-around gymnasts in the past, but in the individual events, they've been quite strong, winning 7 medals in European, World, Olympic Championships since 1983, a 9.6 now for Barbieri. So Barbieri is tied for 6th place at this point. But still, the men's standings, we find the United States' Brian Ginsberg with a lead over Tikhonki, the Soviet. It's going to be a great battle between those two gentlemen, Ulf Hoffman in 3rd. The women's standings now, Christy Phillips over Stoyanova and Baraksanova. We'll have a report on Mary Lou Retton, tell you why she's not here, and we'll have more competition. We'll return to more American Cup gymnastics after this word from your local station.
This is CBS.
In the American Cup gymnastics competition, at the live picture you're seeing of her, she could very well become the youngest American ever to win this competition. Hi again, everybody. I'm John Tesh, back here live. And you know, Mary Lou Retton is the defending champion here, but a lot of people have been asking, where is Mary Lou? Well, it's very simple. At 12:30 earlier today, just 20 minutes from here, the Washington Convention Center, Mary Lou was signing autographs. It's no secret that Mary Lou has gained a lot of fame and fortune from her Olympic performances. And you can see evidence of it there. Now, there's been a lot of talk.
Double back.
Nice job. Mary Lou Retton, I'd say, is just about back to Olympic form if she was ever away. And so a year ago, she claimed her 3rd straight American Cup title. Yet this year, the United States Gymnastics Federation declined to invite her to the event she has all but owned. Mary Lou would not compete at the American Cup.
The reason Mary Lou is not competing in the American Cup is basically her decision. She has opted not to participate on our national team this past year.
Spots on our national team were determined last June, a time when Mary Lou was all but burned out from the grueling pressures of gymnastics competition.
I had to take a break. I'm only human. I'm not a machine. I mean, a body can only take that much of intense training like that, physically and mentally. So I quit training, or slacked off, as they would say. And I had other commitments. And I missed national championships. Yes, I did. But, I mean, I was physically tired. I had to. And apparently that's the reason that they say I didn't get invited. I think they're pretty insensitive to me.
But the USGF says the reason is that Mary Lou did not show a commitment to the gymnastics program itself.
If Mary Lou had been part of the program and had been competing and had shown us that she was interested in following the international program, she would have been in this meet. But we have an obligation and responsibility to every kid that's out there that's participating in our program.
The fact is, Mary Lou Gymnast has become Mary Lou Celebrity. Her time of late has not been spent in the gym. Her commitments have involved appearances far from the vault and balance beam.
Are you all right? This past year, I've been invited to several big occasions. I had dinner with the president. I also had dinner with Princess Diana and Prince Charles. Just, you know, all this royal stuff I'm getting invited to. And, you know, it hits me. The new Energizer AA battery. It's supercharged.
Mary Lou continues to reap the benefits of her stunning Olympic performance. But it now appears it's time to make a decision. Will it be Mary Lou Celebrity or Mary Lou Gymnast?
After all of this incident, I am reconsidering
of what my future's going to be now. I have stopped training.
If she wants to compete, the door's open. If she wants to go on the other side of the door and do the endorsements and commercial opportunities, those things are available to her, too, through our USGF Trust program. She can still retain her eligibility. She still has that opportunity to compete if she wants to.
So the women's standings now, after 5 rotations, Christy Phillips, the lady who is trying to fill the shoes of that young lady you just saw and heard from, Mary Lou Retton. She stands tall in first place. Stoyanova from Bulgaria in second. Raxonova from the Soviet Union. The men's standings after 5 rotations. Ginsburg, Bikonki, and Wong. Coming up next, you're going to see Brian Ginsburg as he tries to win the championship on the last rotation, which will be the high bar. We'll be back with more live gymnastics after this word.
Who says you can't have one?
Fairfax, Virginia, for the 1986 American Cup Gymnastics. We're getting set to see Brian Ginsburg, the American who stands in first place, entering this, the last event, the high bar. Ginsburg, 19 years old, took the lead, even though Tim Daggett hurt himself on the floor exercise. Ginsburg was still able to jump to the floor, and now he's staving off a strong challenge from the Soviet gentleman and Wong, the Chinese.
You know, Brian has a lead by about 1/10 of a point. It's interesting to see that he's got to hang on to it right here.
Brian Ginsburg, perhaps the least known of our American team, competing today for the American Cup title, of course. We asked him earlier what this opportunity meant to him.
This is one of the biggest competitions in the United States this year, and it really feels good to compete. Because World Championships, I didn't get to compete. I was alternate, and it was hard to sit back and watch the United States compete and knowing I couldn't do anything. So this feels really good, competing.
And here he is. He said when he first showed up, he was dazzled by the Soviet and Chinese. That's what he told us. He needs a 9.95 to clinch the title. There's an interesting graphic.
And he's also in an interesting situation that he's the first guy out. If he can do a great exercise here, he knows he has a lead by 1/10 of a point. He can sit back and watch everybody else try and catch him.
Ginsburg, one last routine that could give him the championship.
It's a nice stem pirouette. There he goes into the one arm with a full twist, and he pirouettes back over the top. Here's a one arm to a ginger. Okay, he's a little bit close on that, but he kept the exercise moving. Good speed on the front giants. There's a throw with a full. Nice release move. Go, go. He has to keep the exercise moving. Okay, a little stall on that cast, but good stallers. And watch this dismount. Oh.
Whoa.
Now that was a full twisting double back in a straddle position, and he looked like he just didn't have enough rotation on that.
I got to say, there goes the 9.95.
Boy, this is going to be close, because he has opened the door for some of the other greats to come up and try and catch him.
Ginsburg with his coach, Yefim Furman, who defected. He's from the Soviet Union. He defected 6 years ago after the 1980 games. He's the assistant coach at UCLA.
We're holding for the score.
Okay, here's the replay of that front with a full. Lucy lets go to the front flip with a full twist and catches it. There was a little bit of a form break, but that's a very unusual trick. Now let's see what happens on the dismount here. It's a full twisting double in a straddle position. I say it looks like a flying Thomas Flair. He just ran out of rotation there, could not get his feet underneath him. That's got to cost him right there.
Again, he's the first in this rotation. The score he gets will make him the leader. He is the first. The score is 9.55. So still a nail-biter for Brian Ginsburg. If he had scored a 9.95, as you recall, he could have clinched the title, but now it's going to be extremely close between himself and Wong, the Chinese, and the Soviets. Brian Ginsburg, again, now all he has to do, or I should say, the chore at hand, is to wait and see what the other athletes do. We'll talk to Brian Ginsburg, and we'll return to the Patriot Center after this message and a word from your local station.
Set your course a world out there just waiting in the sky and on the
Gymnastics competition. I'm John Tesh along with Bart Connor and Peter Corman, and it could not get any closer in the men's and the women's competition. Now, for the men, they have one last apparatus on which to compete. This is Alexei Tikhonki from the Soviet Union. He has stood in second place until this point. Brian Ginsberg, the American, just competed. His score was a 9.55, and you see that graphic there. Tikhonki, if he scores a 9.70, he will win the competition. Right now, let's go down to Peter Corman, who's with our American, Brian Ginsberg.
Thank you, John. Brian, absolutely outstanding. It looked a little wild up there on the high bar.
Thanks. I was a little nervous going into the last event and a little tired at the end, but you know, the releases I went all out for, and just I fell a little bit short.
When you came to this competition 2 days ago, had you any dream in your wildest imagination that you, at the end of everything but one exercise, would be in first place?
I couldn't even conceive that when I came here. I just thought if I went in and hit my sets, I'd end up, you know, around the middle, maybe the lower half. But I never thought I'd make it into finals even.
Are you going to be the next American gymnastics star, Brian?
I don't know. I'm just going to keep, you know, working harder and harder, and whatever happens, you know, I'm just pleased with it.
Thank you very much. Back to you, John.
So now, Peter Corman, you and Brian Ginsberg and all of us here will wait for Alexei Tikhonki's routine. And the high bar, we've seen Bart Connor, has precipitated some of the most dangerous routines in the past year or so.
Oh, and Alexei is unbelievable on this event. Yesterday in the preliminary round, he was hot, and he just blasted through his routine with no problem. He's the kind of guy who can score a 9.85, the 9.9, or the 10 because he has that level of exercise. But let's face it, this is the finals, and he's got to do it right now if he's going to do it.
Lives in a Siberian town of 500,000 people in the area of Lake Baikal, the deepest lake in the world. His name means the Silent One.
Back up, rise. Free hip hop change. Look at that, a full pirouette into eagle giant swings. Okay, now here comes the releases. Okay, there's a reverse hex. Perfect. Okay, he does another one. Right to a kinger. He is right on. Those are the toughest release moves. And he did them all in a row. There it is, 1, 2, 3, triple back, and he nails it.
Whoa.
That was unbelievable. What a great finish to a very tough exercise. I'm talking about nailing a landing. That's how you do it.
Alexei Tikhonki. He broke his foot in 1983 on the floor exercise. Has come back strong since then, been a member of the Soviet national gymnastics team since 1981.
Notice the beautiful position here. He leaves the bar, 1, 2, 3, pulls that around, spots the landing, and he's still way up there. Enough perfect time to plant his feet and stick that landing.
Here's a replay of the reaction of Brian Ginsberg. And a little applause there, but I think afraid to show any emotion. There it is. 9.90. And the Soviet has taken the American Cup. Brian Ginsberg, he led throughout this competition. But the women's title is still all up in the air. Christy Phillips still stands in first place. Brian Ginsberg in second at this moment. And here now on the floor exercise, Mariana Tudor.
Here's her opening run. Full twisting double back. She nailed it. This type of exercise is traditional for the Romanians. A kind of cutesy routine that Nadia Comaneci made famous. With back through the double back and short on the landing. That's going to be 0.5 of a point, but that was a tough run to attempt.
Tudor, fourth, entering this, her final performance here on the floor exercise. Still to come, of course, the American Christy Phillips.
Okay, she's catching her breath for her last tumbling run. On a back handspring double back. Okay, a little bit short, but she didn't touch out.
She's all of 16 years old. Been competing in gymnastics, as I mentioned earlier, for 5 years and 4 months. And her coach, Tatiana Popa, said it's too late to begin for a gymnast. It really doesn't look that way, though, with her.
One thing great about the Romanian gymnasts is the coaches always insist that they push the most level of difficulty they can possibly do. This is a very tough second tumbling run here. Look at, she's pulling like crazy, trying to get the rotation, and she still is just a little bit short. That's traditional in Romanian gymnastics. Make them do the hardest tricks and hope they can get away with them in the meet.
All right, so she'll wait for her score. Again, she was fourth entering her final performance. She doesn't have a chance to win the competition. She does have a chance, however, to move up. But I'm not sure after that dismount. In the men's field, Brian Ginsberg is, we've been told, virtually assured of a second place. Only Wang, the Chinese, can tie Ginsberg for second. There's Christy Phillips getting instructions from Bella Caroli. We have a wireless microphone on him. Let's listen.
Pressing down and no way to step backward. Okay, pressing that was down. Okay, hit it hard on the 1.5.
Christy Phillips will be the last to compete on the floor exercise. And it's still very close in the women's competition. Mariana Tudor with a 9.65. I'm sorry, 9.825 for Tudor. So now we wait for Christy Phillips, and we'll be back with more gymnastics in a moment.
Ace Paint, direct from our state-of-the-art factory, the quality you expect from Ace Hardware at a price that will surprise you. This month, Ace 5-Star Sealing White is Best Buy price at just $5.97 a gallon. Goes on smooth and easy, spatter-resistant, and leaves a nice...
Which will feature last Christy Phillips, who has stood in first place since nearly the beginning of this competition. We just saw Brian Ginsberg on his high bar routine. She's warming up here. This is not her performance. We saw Brian Ginsberg, who finished in second place. He can only be tied for second place as the rest of the gentlemen are warming up for their high bars. Now, let's take a look at Christy Phillips here and Bella Caroli. Bella Caroli coached, of course, Nadia Comaneci and Mary Lou Retton. Bella Caroli's newest star pupil is Christy. We asked the 13-year-old what it meant to her to have the master as her coach.
Well, he helps get you motivated, and you know he's the best coach because he's coached 2 Olympic champions, Nadia Comaneci and Mary Lou Retton. Hope he can coach another one.
Hope he can coach another one, me. Well, it could well be. She is right on target. She was not old enough, of course, to compete in last 84's Olympic Games. You have to be 15 in the calendar year.
In fact, Christy is an interesting position because gymnastics is in its greatest day now. She'll show up at these exhibitions with the Olympic team, and many times there'll be 15,000, 16,000 people in the stands. So she has learned to really play to the crowd, and I think that's a real advantage for her today here.
All right, so again, we're going to see Christy Phillips coming up. She'll be performing last in the floor exercise. I think Peter Corman now has the legendary Bella Caroli. Yeah, I see him. Go ahead, Peter.
Thank you, John. Bella, amazing. You've been in this position before. Now one more time. Is she going to be able to do it?
Oh, I hope. You know, that would be a great moment of my life. She's just 13. She's a little girl. And she's jumping into the competition, an unknown junior, and now she's leading this competition, this prestigious competition. Oh, before the Russians, Bulgarians, all world champions. And I think it's great. One more event we have to go. One more hot start. One more great event. And that's she gotta make it.
When are you going to be able to relax in the middle of that floor routine? Is there any one tumbling skill that bothers you a little bit?
Yeah, first tumbling test is the most important to make it. That's the hardest. It's a combination tumbling, very, very tough tumbling, a whip back, a somersault, with other double somersault after that immediately. So that's gonna risky and gonna that's the highest difficulty on her routine. And after that, everything she's handling well. So that's going to be the first moment. After the first 12 seconds, we're going to know.
Well, you know what, Bella? I have a feeling she's going to do it, just like all your others.
Oh, she's got to do it.
Back to you, John Tesh.
How's that for a prediction? Thank you very much, Peter Corman. And now Christy Phillips has to wait for the remaining athletes here to compete on the floor exercise. Just before her will be the Soviet Baraksanova, who has been just near perfection. A girl that she didn't think early in the week she had any chance of beating. And now it's all on Christy Phillips' shoulders. A look now at the standings in the women's competition. This is after 5 rotations. Phillips, Stoyanova from Bulgaria. Baraksanova is in 3rd place. Now, either one of these two ladies has a chance to catch Phillips. Next up now on the men's high bar is Laurent Barbieri, 25 years old. He is 3rd entering this, his last performance. No one can catch Tikhonki, Alexei Tikhonki, the Soviet. He has already won the competition. Brian Ginsberg is assured of a 2nd, but he can be tied. Tim Daggett, of course, out of the competition with an injury. He just joined us on the floor exercise. And there's another one of those release moves.
Beautiful. From a one arm, he does a Tkachev over the bar, a blind release move. Very nice inverted giant swings and a hop pirouette to a one arm, right to a Ginger. Nice combination of one-arm skills. Very risky. So far, this is a really hot exercise. Picking up speed here for the dismount. A layout, pull out, and he nails it. What a great exercise. He had a great day. First of all, tremendous performance on the floor exercise and vaulting, and I think that's held him up in this very strong international field.
19 countries represented here. We started yesterday with 19 athletes, or better than 19 athletes. It's been pared down to 8 men and 8 women here today. And after 6 rotations, actually the middle of 6 rotations, Tikhonki, Ginsberg in 2nd place. We're still waiting for Barbieri's score. The format of this gymnastics meet is unlike any other. There are no compulsory exercises. So what happens is they use yesterday's competition to qualify the top 8 and top women to get in here. And then it's just all-out war. The scores from yesterday did not count. So 6 pieces of apparatus for the men, 4 for the women. And Laurent Barbieri's score is an excellent 9.8.
9.80.
He has to be very pleased with that performance. One of his strongest all-around performances I've seen in an international event for Mr. Barbieri.
All right, now on the floor exercise, this is Zhongyong Su from the People's Republic of China. She is 16 years old, 4'9", 84 pounds. She was 6th entering the floor exercise.
Okay, here's the first big tumbling run. Pull in. Okay. A little bit low on the landing, but no steps. He handled it. Here's the second run. Front step out. Through to a double twist. Very clean. Is just one of many in a long line of great Chinese gymnasts. They have such a tremendous developmental and feeder program. They have a very deep national program.
The People's Republic of China was only admitted to the IOC in 1979, but gymnastics has been a popular sport in China for at least 4 decades.
Great exercise.
Zhongyong Su. Her coach tells us she has unusual leg force, which allows her to be a specialist in the vault and the floor. And up next on the horizontal bar will be her compatriot, who is trying to take over 2nd place.
And here's a very strong finish to the exercise. Round off back handspring. Nice high double twist. perfect job on the landing. Not the most difficult exercise, but very well done.
All right, now on the high bar, this is Wang Chongsheng, 19 years old.
Now watch this exercise. Look at that. A one arm to a reverse X. Look at the extension. One arm over the top again to a one arm Ginger. Perfect execution. This is a great exercise. Not only is he doing the most difficult elements, but look at the line and the extension and the beautiful form. Here we go for the dismount. Triple back, 1, 2, 3. Oh, a little bit of a hop on the landing. It was a great exercise, but he did not stick to landing as the Soviet gymnast Pikonki did.
I like that. He does a triple flip, and you say a little bit of a hop on the landing.
Unbelievable.
Wang Chongsheng, he's a student at the Guangdong Institute for Physical Education. Here's a replay.
Look at the position here. 1, 2, 3. He's pulling hard. Looks for the mat. It's just a little out early because he had to take a hop. It can't be a perfect 10, but it's going to be very close. Notice the one-arm position here as he does a Ginger salto way up over the bar and catches in perfect form, perfect rhythm as he swings back into the exercise.
The last competitor in the high bar, he needed a 9.75 to beat Barbieri for third place, a 9.9. So Wang Chongsheng with a near perfect performance, and I believe that puts him in third place. Yes, he's in third place. So now, in the women's floor exercise just across the way, this is Irina Baraksanova challenging Christy Phillips, who's first entering this rotation. Christy yet to come.
Let's just let this play. She is great. Beautiful pulling.
She needs a 9.75 lead at this point.
So here's the second run. 1.5 twist through to a double twist. Okay, she steps out of bounds, I think. If she didn't, it was very close to the line. Look at the elegant dance work. Look at that flexibility and extension. One quick deep breath for the last tumbling run. On a back handspring. Tuck double back. One step, but she handled it.
Irina Baraksanova from the Soviet Union. A member of the Red Army Sports Club in Tashkent. Never been to the United States before. So she has a passion for ice cream. It doesn't look like she eats much of it, though.
Moroshnoya, I think is how they say it in Russian. It's the only word I know in Russian. Okay, here is the second tumbling run. There's a 1.5 twist. She's really moving. Good speed. Through to the double twist. And just a little over-rotated. And you can see her footsteps out of bounds. That's going to cost her 1/10 of a point.
All right, let's listen now to a replay of what Bella Caroli was telling Christy Phillips during this routine.
Second pass. Running over, back, brr, over again. Jump it up immediately, okay? Dance it to the end, okay? No, gonna be all right. All right. Are you ready?
Again, that was while this young lady, Baraksanova, was performing. And he's always there, isn't he, Bella? He's the ultimate cheerleader. He's pacing the sidelines.
One great thing about Bella is he's always managed to recruit some of the finest talent in the world. But better than that, I think he knows the best of how to get the most out of each of his performers. And that means really psyching them up. He has her really jazzed.
She needed, we're still waiting for the score, she needed a 9.75 to lead.
9.625.
And the score 9.625. So Baraksanova will not be a factor at this point.
Horizontal bar from the German Democratic Republic, Ulf Hoffmann.
over on high bar, Ulf Hoffman does a great exercise. He nailed it yesterday. Let's see if he can do it again today. Look at this. Okay. That's called a Delchev release move. He was a little close on the bar. Good one-arm giant swing. Nice piked front somersault. He was in a little close, but no form break on that one. The great work here on the inverted giant swings. Here's the speed. Now watch this crazy dismount. 1, 2, 3, over the top. Oh! I don't know how his knees take that landing.
The excitement on the high bar, Ulf Hoffman will need a perfect 10 to tie for third, and that will be unlikely. But here is Christy Phillips, the last competitor in the floor exercise. You can hear the crowd, the excitement. Last competitor of the day, she needs a 9.625 to win.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we have one more performer, and then the moment of recognition of all of our performers occurred, and we hope you will stay with us.
She's a little nervous.
The award ceremony.
I imagine she's a little bit nervous, but I'll bet she's mostly psyched. How can you not be when you're around a guy like Bela Karolyi? He's the kind of person that really instills a tremendous amount of confidence in these young kids. Even though they're in high-pressure international competition, he seems to help them realize how they can handle it.
The youngest American ever to compete in the American Cup, coached again by Bela Karolyi.
We talked before about the style of gymnastics. She is a showman. She doesn't have the big twisting double flip like the Soviet gymnasts, but she knows how to ham it up. If she can put this exercise together, she'll be tough to beat.
So here she is, Christy Phillips, by way of Baton Rouge, training in Houston with Karolyi and his wife.
As Bela said, we're going to know right at the beginning of the exercise whether she can pull this off. The first tumbling run, here it comes. Whip back. Pike double. Okay! She made it! And look at her go. Pretty sassy for 13 years old.
This is the young lady who...
Now here's the same pass that Bark son of a miss. She made it! Exactly the same tumbling run, and she stayed inbound.
Almost stepped out. This is the young lady, as I was mentioning, that Bela told us is even better at this age than Mary Lou was.
I think she's home free. Look at that in her face. She's got only a double full to finish this exercise. Not the most difficult dismount, but she can make it. Okay. You gotta love her.
There you go. Oh, good job. Did it. Little bucket. Little bit. Good job.
That's not us. That's the voice of Bela Karolyi you hear, who is just as relieved, I think, as Christy Phillips.
Well, that's his phone here now.
I want to listen while they wait.
Well, that's his phone here.
This score, we will be beginning our preparation for our special entertainment while our computer people tablet.
Again, needs a 9.625 to win.
Out now. Don't forget. Hey, Sandy. Thank you. Thank you.
This could be a very big moment for her.
The score for Christy Phillips is being posted.
9. What is that?
He's seeing the individual judge scores. There's 6 of them. They have to be averaged together after 2 are shot. There it is. This
You won it, Melissa. You won it.
Is the American Cup champion.
No, you can't be. Stay the public. Stay the public. That's good. Holy smoke.
Here's the replay.
Tumbling run. Here's where it all happened, right here. The whip back, through to the pike double back. And when she made that, she was home free. You can see it in her face.
Now here's a replay of Bella's reaction to that one pass. You don't even have to open the wireless microphone to hear what he said there. Bella Caroli has now coached 3 champions of the American Cup Gymnastics Championship. We'll be back with an